The Arlington Renegades. What a rally they had. And before we talk takeaways from this one, I do want to say thank you to the Arlington Renegades and the XFL. You welcomed our Boulevard Bowl tour to Choctaw Stadium, and that was incredible. Like many of you, I was in elementary school when the height of the Attitude Era was going on, and The Rock was on your television on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. If you would have told third grade me that I would meet The Rock, I would have told you, well, that's impossible because he's on TV. He's not even a real human. I wouldn't have lived to see fourth grade if you told me in third grade that I'd meet The Rock at a football game. So, again, the XFL truly is a league of opportunity, and all cliches aside, for players, coaches, staffers, and even me, a sometimes directionless freelancer, I'll never forget covering the birth of Danny and DJ's XFL. It's now a core memory for me, and that would have not been possible without the wonderful Renegade staff, so thank you. And before Zook over there tells me to quit beating off and get on with the show, let's talk about some ball. So Vegas took the ball. They put on a clinic with their play script right off the bat. I assume that this probably was encouraged by the powers that be. Remember, you get one chance here. I said on Thursday, you maybe get one half of football to make an impression on these casuals. And if you watch that opening drive from Vegas, it really checked all the boxes. It was competitive. It was efficient. It was most importantly prepared offense from Vegas. And it became the XFL's first scoring drive. Luis Perez to Jeff Badette. 7 minutes, 12 plays, 69 yards. Nice. First XFL scoring drive. Of course, had to be that way. At this point, I'm sure some of you went to DraftKings and hammered that Vegas Vipers title future. Not me. Couldn't have been me. I sat back and I waited for the Renegades to counter. And they did. They ate up another 7 minutes, settled for a Taylor Russolino field goal. The rest of the half for Vegas was the Jeff Badette show. The former Sooner just blew by everyone on his former squad. I know he made Bob Stoops regret not drafting him this time around. So they were through one half and down 11. The Renegades really looked lifeless, especially on offense. Drew Plitt was picked off by C.J. Avery kind of right as we went into half. And I'm sure bad memories of those 2020 failures for the Renegades and Bob Stoops started to seep into the minds of the fans at Choctaw Stadium. And then it all changed. No, the Renegades' comeback really had nothing to do with guys settling in, making plays, or any halftime adjustments. In fact, Bob Stoops said himself in the post-game presser, adjustments are overrated, especially when you only have a 10-minute halftime. Well, the cactus thorn in all of our asses, Mikey Manziel. He sent me a tweet, and you'll see this coming up later in a segment. He said over Twitter, "Somebody tell this man, Matty Fresh, that I'm always right." Remember, Mike had Vegas money line. So Vegas is up 14-3 at this point, and after 28 minutes of football, Mike calls this one early. Well, after he sent that, I think it was 4:11 p.m. Central Time, the Vipers were victimized. First, by a Tomase Lalile thick six. No, it is not a pick six, ESPN. This is a thick six. He's a big boy. They had a thick six. They had a Jamal Carter forced and recovered fumble, and a botch fake punt, whatever you want to call it, from the -33. So after those three things happen, Mikey puts that in his bowl. He mixes it all around in his bowl. And before he even gets the chance to look down and look at the mess that he made, it was a blown double-digit lead for the Vegas Vipers. Luis Perez throws another rough pick six, this time to Devontae Bosby with under 5 minutes to play. Made it an 8-point Renegade advantage. And here's where I come in, right? I'm sitting on Arlington -2.5. And I'm on the sideline. I'm looking into the Choctaw Stadium rafters and the wind's blowing. And I'm thinking, not only did I just witness Mikey get publicly pantsed on Twitter by his own team, I covered. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst mistake you can make as a gambler. I didn't say it. I didn't even show any body language that showed I was thinking it. But I thought it. And because I did, Vegas engineered their first scoring drive in over 2 hours. I watched Donald Payne lunge at the ankles of Sin-Q Sweeting and miss by the hair of an ass crack. And it was at that point that I realized TJ Barnes dropped Perez to thwart the 2-point try. And it was Renegades 22, Vipers 20. The 4th and 15 didn't matter. Geronimo Allison got clocked across the middle. Renegades 22, Vipers 20. Gambling Gods 1. Matty Fresh 0. But this wasn't about me. It was about the players. And I can assure you, even the worst of beats was not going to ruin my day enough that I wouldn't talk about what happened here at XFL Kickoff. Our Best of the Boulevard nominee for Week 1, Bruce Hector, D-end for the Arlington Renegades. Although he didn't get the start or even appear on the stat sheet, the former USF Bull did his job. And that was bull rushing, winning his battle, and forcing Luis Perez to throw an ill-advised ball right into the hands of Devontae Bosby. Let me also say, when Arlington controlled the ball for the first 10 minutes of the fourth quarter on a 16-play drive that went, 55 yards. 16 plays, 55 yards. Think about that for a second. I can't do the math. Only when it comes to gambling can I ever add or subtract numbers, but you can do the math there. 16 plays, 55 yards. That sounds a lot like my NCAA football offense on EA Sports, to be honest. But remember, they were stuffed at the end of that drive on 3rd and goal. I think it was at the 2. And sure, Bob Stoops could have kicked it. He could have went up 4 with under 5 to play. But this is the XFL. And you have a quarterback on the opposing sideline who's in complete desperation mode, just spiraling out of control. So if you don't get that 2-yard touchdown, what happens? Well, you pin Luis Perez at his own 2-yard line. And with the way he looked, at the worst, I think you get a 3 and out there. But at the best, what do you get? A turnover that completely changes the game, wins the game for you. Magnificent coaching there by Arlington. I thought Stoops had another call, actually, after Vegas committed that illegal substitution on 4th and 7. He brings Marquette King off. We're not going to punt, he says. And I think Marquette was happy about that, even though he wasn't getting another rep. He wanted to see Arlington win that game. And Drew Plitt on the quarterback on 4th and short, hits a nice slant and a key first down. So great coaching by Stoops in this one. What else stood out on this blustery Texas afternoon? Well, a few things. Jordan Smallwood's hands, as good as advertised. Early candidate for catch of the year in the XFL. You saw it earlier on our B-roll. Jeff Badette is faster than you and pretty much everybody in the XFL with his 4.2 speed. So don't bet against him like I did. Bet on Badette. New slogan for you. And for as much as Springball folks love Luis Perez, and I do too, don't get me wrong, it's time for us to see why Brett Hundley was worth 200 large. I'm puzzled as to why he wasn't put in this game. I get sticking with your guy, and I've been critical before of 2 quarterback systems. But it's time to see what Brett Hundley got paid 4 times more than any other XFL player or starter. For what reason? If you're just going to ride him on the bench. So quite the exchange between Bob Stoops and I in the presser, by the way. If you want to check that out, go scroll back to my Twitter. I love you, Coach. And someday you're going to realize why I introduced myself as Matty Fresh, what led to a great moment in the presser. I got a feeling Arlington's going to be that tough, kind of win ugly squad. On a weekend where most kickers struggled, I got to give a shout out. Taylor Russolino, 3 for 3, did not miss a field goal. And while Vegas is exactly what I thought they would be, they're talented, but they're inconsistent. They can beat anyone. They can lose to anyone based on the weekend. They're not going to make the playoffs because they can't run the ball unless they peak late. If they peak late and put a few wins together, that's all that really matters in a league like this, but can't run the ball. They had 25 yards rushing according to our graphics. So Arlington 22, Vegas 20.